The moment my own daughter threw coffee in my face, they say betrayal from strangers wounds the skin. But betrayal from your own child? It carves into the bone. I was sitting at the table I'd once taught her to write her name on. A table worn with memories, birthday cakes, report cards, scraped knees, and suddenly, a mug of coffee flying across it. Scalding. Sticky. Smelling like burnt pride and something deeper, shame. It hit my chest, splashing across my blouse, dripping into the folds of my lap. But the pain? It wasn't from the heat. It was from her eyes, my daughter's eyes, narrowed with fury, cold with a kind of hatred I'd never seen before. At least not directed at me. "You've always been selfish, Mom," she spat. "You care more about your money than your own daughter." Behind her stood her husband, arms crossed, not even flinching, as if this was normal, as if letting your wife assault her mother was deserved. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, coffee soaking through the silence, and I realized something terrifying. My daughter wasn't mine anymore. She belonged to someone else now. Someone who had twisted her love into entitlement. Someone who turned my child into a weapon. This is not a story about money. It's a story about how one decision, one word, one no, can reveal the truth no mother ever wants to see. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. How it all seemed perfect, until it wasn't. There was a time I would have told you that my daughter was my greatest pride. Not because she was perfect, but because she tried. She had a quiet kind of strength when she was little. She'd fall off her bike, scrape her knee, and still look up at me with eyes that sparkled through the tears. "Did I do good, Mom?" she'd whisper, and I'd kneel down, clean the wound, and kiss her forehead. "You did more than good. You were brave." Back then, I thought love was enough. Enough to raise a decent human being. Enough to shape character. Enough to protect her from becoming cold. I watched her grow up through every season, her first piano recital, the way she twirled in that lavender dress at prom. The late night talks about her dreams, her fears, her college plans. We laughed a lot, and cried sometimes too, but there was always love. Always this invisible thread between us that I thought could never break. Then he came along. He was polite at first, overly so. The kind of charm that felt too practiced, but she adored him, and I wanted to trust her judgment. After all, I raised her. She must have known what love looks like, right? They got married faster than I expected. I offered to help, paid for the dress, the venue, the flowers, because that's what mothers do. They show up. They give. They support. Even when something in your gut says, "Slow down, this man doesn't love her the way she thinks." I told myself I was just being protective, that it was my age talking, that maybe I was just struggling with letting go. But letting go shouldn't feel like losing someone completely, and that's exactly what began to happen. The day they asked for my credit card, it started with a phone call. Her voice was upbeat, almost rehearsed. "Hey, Mom, we were just talking and we had an idea." I could already feel it, that soft edge in her voice, the kind she used when she wanted something. "So, David's business is about to launch this new app," she said, "and we've hit a bit of a hiccup with the budget." I didn't say anything, I just listened, waited. "It's temporary," she added quickly. "Just until our investor signs the next phase. We were wondering if you could maybe help." I knew what she meant. Not a loan, not a conversation, just hand over the credit card. In the background, I heard him say something. Laughter. Low, confident, like this was already a done deal. "It's not a big amount, Mom. You have the means. It's not like you'd even notice it." And there it was. Entitlement dressed as reason. Guilt masked as affection. But I'd been through enough in life to recognize when love was being used as a transaction. I took a breath, and I said, "No, I'm sorry, I can't do that." There was silence. Not stunned silence, offended silence. And then her voice changed. The sweetness evaporated, the warmth disappeared, and what came next? "Wow, seriously? After everything, you'd rather let David's future fall apart than help us for just 1 second." I stayed calm. This isn't about helping, this is about enabling. She hung up just like that, but I didn't know then that this no would be the match that lit the fire. Because the next time I saw her, she wasn't asking anymore. She was throwing. The coffee incident and everything that followed, she asked to meet in person. Said she wanted to talk things out. I believed her. Foolishly, I thought maybe we could start over, that maybe she realized she'd crossed a line, that her heart was still the one I raised. We met at a small cafe near her apartment. Neutral ground, public, safe. At least I thought it would be. She didn't smile when I arrived, didn't stand. Her arms were crossed, jaw clenched, and beside her David, smug and silent, sipping espresso like he owned the place. I sat, folded my hands in my lap. "So," I said gently, "you wanted to talk?" "No, I wanted you to listen," she snapped. I blinked, felt the weight of something shifting, something breaking. "We needed you, and you turned your back on us. You've always made it about control, haven't you? About money, about guilt, about power." She was shaking now, not with pain, but with anger. David said nothing. He didn't have to. "You know what?" She hissed, "You're not just selfish, you're toxic." Then it happened. In one swift, furious motion, she picked up her untouched latte and threw it straight at me. It wasn't the temperature that stung. It was the look on her face, the lack of hesitation, the certainty in her cruelty. The cafe went still. Chairs scraped, someone gasped, but no one moved. David didn't flinch, he smirked. Satisfied, I sat there, drenched in coffee, drenched in grief. And for the first time in my life, I didn't recognize my own daughter. She didn't apologize. She didn't even look ashamed. She grabbed her purse, stood, and with a voice colder than anything I've ever heard, said, "Maybe now you'll understand what it feels like to be dismissed." And they left. That day, something inside me shattered, not because of the liquid, not even because of the words, but because I finally saw her, not the child I raised, but the woman she chose to become. And I realized maybe I wasn't invited into her life anymore. When silence becomes strength, I went home without saying a word to anyone. Not the waiter who stood frozen with pity, not the other guests who stared but didn't speak. I drove in silence, coffee cooling on my skin, shame burning hotter in my chest. When I got home, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't replay the moment on a loop, trying to twist it into something less cruel. I simply stood in the hallway, the same one where I once measured her height in pencil marks, and I breathed. For the first time in months, maybe years, I let the stillness wrap around me like a blanket. No more rationalizing, no more pretending, no more holding space for people who don't see me as human. Something shifted that night, not all at once, not like lightning, but slowly. Like a door I didn't know was locked had finally clicked open, and behind that door was peace, not the kind that comes from forgiveness, but the kind that comes from release. Release from the role I thought I had to keep playing, the good mother, the giver, the fixer, the wallet. I began packing the next morning, not out of anger, but out of love for myself. I canceled the secondary card they'd been using behind my back. I called my lawyer. I rewrote my will. Not to punish, not to get even, but to finally protect what I had spent a lifetime building. I didn't announce it, didn't make a post, didn't call her to say goodbye. Some endings don't need to be screamed, they just need to be. A quiet kind of revenge weeks passed. I didn't reach out. I didn't explain myself. I didn't ask if she was okay, because deep down I already knew she wasn't. But this wasn't my burden to carry anymore. Then the call came, not from her. From David, his voice, usually so smug, now cracked with urgency. "Hey, there's been some kind of mistake with the card. It's not working, we have bills to cover. Can you?" I stopped him. "It's not a mistake," I said gently. "I've shut it off." Silence. "You what?" "I've shut it off," I repeated, "and I won't be turning it back on." He lost it. "Are you serious right now? You're going to let your own daughter suffer just to prove a point?" I didn't argue. I didn't need to, because the truth didn't need defending. I simply said, "You should have thought about that before you used her love to bleed me dry." And I hung up. The next week, she showed up at my door, no makeup, hair a mess, eyes red-rimmed. For a moment, I saw my little girl again, the one who once clung to my leg in department stores, the one who used to fall asleep in the crook of my arm. But then she spoke. You had no right. And just like that, she was gone again. I opened the door wider, let her come in, let her say what she came to say, but I didn't apologize, not this time. You're right, I told her. I had no right to let it go this far. I should have said no the first time you disrespected me, and every time after that. She looked stunned because I wasn't yelling, I wasn't crying, I wasn't begging her to understand. I was just done. I love you, I said, but I won't be your victim. She left, and this time I didn't chase her. When letting go is the bravest thing you can do, people talk about heartbreak like it's loud, like it comes with shouting, broken plates, and slammed doors. But sometimes heartbreak is silent. It's the sound of your own breath in an empty kitchen. It's the moment you set the second coffee mug back in the cabinet because there's no one to drink with you anymore. It's the weight of memory sitting across from you, smiling like nothing ever went wrong. I loved her. I still do. But love without respect is like a house with no foundation. It may stand for a while, but eventually it crumbles, and when it does, you're left holding debris that doesn't resemble what you built together. So I stopped trying to rebuild a dream she no longer believed in. I stopped explaining myself to people who only heard their own needs. I stopped making room in my life for someone who treated my kindness like a bottomless resource. There's grief in letting go. Yes, but there's also grace. Because letting go doesn't mean you've failed. It means you've chosen yourself after a lifetime of choosing everyone else. It means you've finally learned that boundaries aren't walls, they are doors. And sometimes you have to close them for your soul to breathe again. If one day she finds her way back, I'll be here not as the woman she could manipulate, but as the mother who finally remembered she deserves love too. Until then, I choose peace. Even if it comes with silence, even if it comes alone. Because peace, real peace, is never the result of pleasing others. It's the quiet reward of finally loving yourself enough to walk away.